Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft and one of the wealthiest men in America, once said, "Technology is just a tool. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is the most important." Now, I'm a student in education at Northwestern, and I am not a teacher myself, but I have been in several classrooms. I have seen teachers that use lots of technology. I have seen teachers that use a little bit of technology, and I've even seen some that have almost none at all. So the question that I want to focus on today is, what is the most important thing in our classrooms? I want to read Bill's quote again so that way we can focus on that. Technology is just a tool. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is the most important. And one more time the question, what is the most important thing in our classrooms? So the first classroom that I'm going to talk about today that I've been in for a placement was a second grade classroom that had not a lot of technology in it at all. The teacher that I worked with was awesome. She had been teaching for almost 30 years. She was 2 years away from retirement, and she was great with the kids. She was super laid back, very go with the flow, and there was not a lot of technology in her classroom. She had a computer that she worked on, obviously, and then she had a TV screen in the front of her classroom, and she had a document camera. She didn't even have a smartboard. She didn't even have a whiteboard in her classroom. All she would have was a little personal-sized whiteboard that she would put underneath the document camera, and anything that she needed to write on that camera that for the kids to see, she would write down on that little whiteboard, put it underneath the doc cam, shine it up on the TV, and that's what the kids would look at to see. That was all that she had. That was all the technology that she would ever use, and a lot of the time she didn't even need to use that. But the kids still learned great from it. They didn't have a problem not having a smartboard, not having something to go up and touch and interact with and swipe and move and all these things. They didn't need it. They didn't have laptops in the classroom that they could use. They didn't have iPads. The school did have an option where you could rent a cart of iPads for the day, but the teacher never did that. She never used that in her classroom. And yet the kids still learned the material great. They got along with each other. They learned academics and also social emotional skills, and they were fine. Now, in the other classroom that had a lot of technology was a kindergarten classroom with a teacher who had been teaching for over 10 years. She had kids of her own in the classroom. She was very, very involved in the school, and she was a great teacher. She was hired as a kindergarten teacher particularly for her work with families and her ability to do that really well, and she loved technology. She used it every single day, several times a day in her classroom. The kids would use a smartboard between every single transition to do a brain break and to watch a little video and do a dance or a breathing exercise. In the morning they did a little activity every single morning with the whiteboard or with the smartboard to sign in so that way the teacher could take attendance and also to choose their lunch for the day or to say if they were getting cold lunch. And she had technology all the time. The kids were able to use iPads every single day. She had her own cart of iPads in the room that the kids got to use, and they were kindergartners. 5 and 6-year-olds that knew how to use the technology and knew all the rules for it, respected it, knew what to do. It was great. And these kids were the same way. They all got along with each other. They learned all of their important educational skills, but also how to get along with each other, how to share, everything that is very important in kindergarten that is foundation for the rest of school and the rest of life. But both of these teachers had very different teaching styles. So what is the most important thing in our classroom? Is it the teacher or is it technology? And my answer is neither. The focus should not be on the technology that we use in our classroom. It should not be about the teacher. It really should be about the kids and what they're learning and what they're interested in. If the kids like to use technology, then sure, bring it in. That's only going to help them learn. If that's something that they're good at and something that they're interested in, something that motivates them to learn, then absolutely, they should definitely be using technology in the classroom. Your school might not have the resources that you may need for it. You might not have a cart of iPads in your classroom where each kid gets their own, but Maybe you have a computer lab where they can go and you can find an activity online that they can do, or maybe you can share iPads with a teacher next to you in a classroom nearby, and you can switch out activities, and then you can trade ideas off each other, and then you get more knowledge, and that's great too. Or maybe your kids don't like technology so much. Maybe they don't know how to use it. Maybe they're not responsible enough to be able to use it. So maybe they don't get that privilege yet, and that's okay, because there are other things that they can do. Teach them to read. Books are important. I don't think, even if your kids do love technology and they're good at it, I don't think that books should be thrown out the window. Books are still so important. The very best thing that you can do for your kids is to give them a mix and to give them a balance and to let them do what they are interested in while still letting them know that their way is not the only way. They might prefer to scroll through an iPad and to look at an app and maybe to put on headphones and have someone read to them through those headphones, or they might prefer to have a book in front of them and read it for themselves. But either way, they need to know how to do both, because that's the real world. You can't just have your way all the time, even if you have your preferences. But really, the most important thing in our classroom is the kids, no matter what. That's always what should be the focus. That always will be, I hope, the focus if education goes the way that it should. So finally, to end, in the words of George Couros, technology will never replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers is transformational. Thank you.